Hello and welcome to Joy of Books with me, Miss Joy. Today's offering is Women by the controversial author and poet Charles Bukowski. This adult fiction book was released in 1978 and contains 291 pages. Sharing his views on the book today is author and teacher TC.
I'm a huge fan of the poetry of Charles Bukowski, and I've read many of his books and enjoyed the majority of them, to be honest. This is no exception. I thought that this was an excellent book. I really enjoyed reading it. It starts with this ominous message from Henry Chinaski. So this is the alter ego of Bukowski himself. So you could call this semi-autobiographical if you like. He says, "Many a good man has been put under the bridge by a woman." Goodness me. That wouldn't get away with that nowadays, would you? Such an outlandish and frank statement. But that's the guy Henry Chinaski is. Very, very frank. I enjoy reading his writing. It differs from a lot of his other major novels in that it deals really with the latter part of his life, the part of his life concerned with post-fame, if you like, and not the rather deadbeat years of his earlier work, such as Ham on Rye and Post Office. I didn't enjoy Post Office as much, I'll admit that, but I really enjoyed this particular novel. As I've said, I really enjoyed this book. The main character, Henry Chinaski, the alter ego of the author, is in this constant carousel of the rich rewards of his fame as a writer and poet. So he's being paid $500 to fly up to Vancouver or over to New York to give a reading to his fans, and these fans are obviously all too willing to spend time with him, especially the young females. I can understand why this might offend in the modern age, but you have to remember this was written way back in the late 1970s, different era, and probably set even prior to that. So you have to take that into account. Although even taking it into account, you can obviously see that he is misogynistic. His attitudes towards women are, obviously very negative, or at least self-fulfilling and self-indulgent. But this is the character. This is unapologetically Henry Chinaski. This is who he is. And you have to understand that, and or at least accept that as a reader if you're going to get anything out of his books. Otherwise, you're going to be one of those people on the book review website giving him 1 star out of 5 and coming across as a very grumpy and frumpy person and a little bit ignorant to a degree, in that you're not looking past that misogyny and that aspect and not looking at the writing. So, like I say, if we can get past that so I can get through the review, then I'm sure that we'll come back to that later. But this character, Henry Chinaski, he's only finding temporary fulfillment anyway with these. And although he does hurt some of these women, the real person that he's hurting is himself, as he goes down this kind of rabbit hole, if you like, of endless young women contacting him. He rarely makes the first move, and again, it's just all too easy for him. You know, how do you say no? It's a child in a toy shop, or kid in a sweet shop, however you want to look at it. That's a situation that he's in. And because he didn't have success earlier in his life, that's the reason why he feels that he's making up for this lost time and taking advantage of the opportunities of adult relationships at this time in his life now. So in his late 50s. I think in his real life, he married. Chinaski married, and see, that's the thing, that the boundaries between Bukowski and Chinaski are often blurred. Okay, so Chinaski married a lady older than him when he was 25, and that's where he's coming from. This character, okay, it's essentially a character in pain. In fact, even later on in the novel, it breaks down in tears, and you feel that it is genuine. Okay, he knows he's hurting people. He knows it's not good for him as well. Yet he just doesn't feel that he can change at that time in his life. This is who he is. He's deep rooted, and he's unable to change. And again, that's why the ending, where there is that growth, where he does reject that final, advance from a young would-be groupie, and he does stick with the one who seems to be the most suitable for him and the most loving of him. But that's the hope of this book, isn't it? And this book, well, certainly when I purchased it, is part of what you might call a three-part series, starting with Hammond Ride, then Post Office, then Women. So if you look at the journey from the very beginning of that, this deadbeat doing these long hours at the post office, putting up with a load of, well, you know what, just to make a few ends meet, to be able to put, well, in his case, drink on the table. You can see that there is development, well, certainly emotionally at least. At least he's trying by the end. Yeah, so anyway, these women come and go. It starts off with Lydia, who generally seems to like, and she frequently arises in the book. Unfortunately, though, she also damages property and is arrested. Chinaski doesn't press charges because she has a young son. He doesn't want to see anything happen to him. So again, there is that side to him where he does care. He does have emotion, he does have a guilt complex, but of course, maybe dulled by the drink and the years of being beaten down, it doesn't come to the fore when perhaps it should, especially in terms of the relationships with women. I mean, the women come and go. I mean, he moves on to speed freak Tammy, who also comes and goes as she pleases. A music executive Dee Dee. There's Iris, the dancer. There's the good ones that he pushes away or treats them badly, and they leave. And like I say, when he does finally meet Sarah, this seems to be, and the interesting thing, by the way, is that this is the one lady who doesn't instantly gratify him. She makes him wait, and okay, even after he has waited, he still goes off with somebody else. But the point is that something has changed in him, a switch has been flicked, and he realises just how wrong he is behaving. Yeah, the character Hank Chinaski in the novel always quotes his favourite writer as being John Fante, and again, Asa Dusk is one of my favourite books. I love the way that he referred to this Nothampton, and I guarantee people will be Googling Nothampton, but Nothampton doesn't exist, okay? It's just a little in-joke. I'm assuming targeted at these writers who write endless words about Charles Bukowski himself and don't really know what they're talking about. So I would say that that's a good in-joke there that crops up a lot in his books. I mean, the main theme of all of his books is honesty. That's the thing with this writer. His voice speaks directly to those that truly know the confusing workings and thought processes of the male mind. I think it's way ahead of its time in this book in terms of the way that fame can be abused. I mean, look at some of the books that get popular acclaim now. You get books by autobiographies by rock stars who have slept with thousands of women, and again, they're top of the bestsellers. They're being bought by the same people who have probably read Charles Bukowski and criticised Charles Bukowski for being a misogynist and everything else. Well, the one thing that you could say he wasn't was junkie. Okay, alcoholic he was, but maybe not junkie. But some of these rock stars, they're getting credit for the things that they're doing. Look at Tommy Lee of Motley Crue, for example. If you get anybody in Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses, for example, Ozzy Osbourne as well. I mean, come on, you have to put things into context, I would say. So, of course, the character is in pain here. I know that I enjoy this book. I know that it gives us this insight into the male mind, and I know that the male mind is not always the most complex one. Okay, see woman like woman kind of thing. But I just think people do need to get past that misogynistic angle if they're going to get anything out of the book. So I know what's going to happen here. People are probably going to say, "Oh, you're wrong with this. You shouldn't be saying this stuff. You shouldn't be saying it's a good book." But there's 3 types of reviewers out there. Okay, and if you don't believe me, go online and have a look. Okay, feminists are going to give this book a 0 rating, probably without even reading the whole book. That's one category. You're going to get, I don't know, the men with their profile picture on them with a neatly trimmed beard. They'll probably give it 1 star because either they don't understand it or they don't understand themselves yet, or they're just trying to, I don't know, attract the females on the review sites by pretending to have an enlightened worldview. Again, look this up and you'll see what I mean. People of both sexes who generally give it a top rating are probably the ones who truly understand and appreciate the brutal honesty of that rare beast, which is a writer not interested in fame, fortune or good reviews, essentially just a guy who's looking to not have to live a 9-to-5 existence until he dies. And it's so interesting that we live in a world now where we have every conceivable and inconceivable type of gender and preference in that respect, yet it is the original misogynist who is the most maligned in literature. And I don't know, it's as simple as this. Women are probably going to hate this book. Traditional real men will probably love it. Or if not, they will definitely recognise parts of themselves in the main character if they're honest. So That's as much as I can say really on the book. I personally enjoyed the book. I'm not saying I enjoyed all of his novels, but I did enjoy this one.
Well, thank you very much for your review of this very interesting book, TC. That review will certainly divide opinion. Women by Charles Bukowski is available from all good book outlets. Thank you for joining me, and please remember to like and subscribe to Joy of Books.